Welcome to the Creators MBA podcast, your go-to resource for mastering the art and science of digital product entrepreneurship. My name is Dr. Destiny Kopp, and I help business owners generate consistent revenue from their digital product business without the need to be glued to their desks, constantly live launching, or worrying about the social media algorithms. I hope you enjoy our episode today. Hi there, Destiny here, and welcome back to the Creators MBA podcast. I'm super excited that you are joining me here today. And I want to talk about something that has been coming up more and more lately. And it's this idea that inboxes are changing because of AI. And you've probably seen people talking about Gmail experimentation with the AI filtered inbox views, or even some smarter prioritization. And when conversations like that start to happen, the reaction is usually pretty predictable. People start wondering if email is about to get harder. They wonder if their open rates are going to drop, and they're asking, do they need to change everything immediately? And I don't think that this is a panic moment, but I do think it is a time where we need to sit back and reevaluate our strategy, because what is actually shifting isn't email as a channel. It is how inboxes decide what feels relevant to the person reading the email. And if email plays any role into how you make money, whether that's launches, evergreen funnels, maybe a membership, maybe you're doing consultations, or even just ongoing relationship building, then this is worth paying attention to. Not necessarily in a reactive, I'm going to burn everything down and start over, but a very thoughtful way. So let's take a step back for a second. For a long time, the basic rhythm of email marketing was pretty simple. If you showed up consistently and you weren't doing anything spammy, your emails would land somewhere in the inbox. Maybe not always in the primary tag. Maybe they would go into promotions, but they were there somewhere. So a lot of email strategy became about staying consistent, making sure you were sending those weekly emails, not disappearing, making sure that you were staying visible. And I would say, even today, in the AI inbox that we're going to be seeing, consistency still matters. I am not dismissing that, but consistency alone isn't what makes an email system strong. What's becoming more important is whether your emails make sense in context. And I want to explain what I mean by that. So if someone signs up for a webinar and you send them reminders, that's obvious, right? That's a perfect fit. If somebody buys something from you and you send them onboarding emails, again, that makes sense. If someone downloads a free guide and you follow up with relevant content, that feels connected. But if someone joined your list 2 years ago for one reason, and now your emails feel disconnected from that clear step or that idea, that is where things can start to feel scattered. And this is really where that shift happens. Inbox systems are paying attention to patterns. They're looking at what people are engaging with, what they ignore, what they consistently click, what they reply to, and they're trying to figure out what actually matters to that reader. So the question isn't, how do I beat AI? The better question is, does my email system and strategy make sense? And when somebody receives your newsletter, is it clear to them why they're getting it, why they're on your email list? Is it clear what role it plays in your business? So if a reader asks you, why am I getting this email right now? Do you have a clear answer for them? For a lot of creators out there, especially experienced ones, email becomes something you maintain. You build the course, you build the offer, you build the membership, you build the funnel, and then the newsletter becomes the thing you keep up with. But keeping up with something and designing it intentionally and how it's going to function are two different things. And I think that's what all of this exposes. It's not about writing better emails. It's not about tricking people. And it's not even about sending more emails. It's about being clear on the purpose of that email. And if email is part of your customer journey, then it needs to be connected to everything and all the decisions in your business. So it should help prepare someone for something or help them interpret something. Maybe it's inviting them to an event that you have. Maybe it's reinforcing something, some content or education that you're giving them in that particular email. So when emails are connected to decisions, engagement is going to make sense. So they're going to get that email. They're going to actually do something with it. They're going to click in it. They're going to engage with it. But when emails are just loosely connected content, kind of scattered, and they don't really have any purpose, or you're not taking them on a very specific journey, then that engagement becomes unpredictable. And it doesn't mean that your content is bad. It just means that you're not taking that particular reader on a specific journey. And that's what we need to be doing, even in our newsletter emails. So I want to make this very practical for you. I want you to think about your last 5 emails that you have sent out. Can you clearly explain what each one was trying to do and the journey it was trying to take the reader on? Not necessarily in a salesy type way. I'm not saying that you had to be selling something in all of those emails, but directionally, did you have a purpose there? Were you reinforcing a belief? Were you preparing them for an offer that you had coming up? Were you supporting an active launch? Were you encouraging them to reply back to you? That's going to become even more important in the AI inbox. Were you driving applications or consult calls? Or were they just mostly thoughtful updates with no clear, real purpose? If so, that's an issue. Again, there's no judgment here. This is just like thinking through what we've been doing. Because when the AI inbox systems rely more on these behavioral patterns, people actually doing something and you taking them on a very specific journey, that email will feel connected to something and it will tend to perform better over time. And that is really the heart of what we're doing here, because email works best when it has a job to do. And that job needs to be connected to your revenue model. If you run launches, your newsletter needs to warm people up for launches. I'll give you an example. I'm in the middle, as I'm recording this right now, I'm in the middle of preparing for a launch that's going to lead into my lab, my AI Coach Clone Lab that I'm doing live in the month of March. So in my emails, in my newsletter emails, I've been doing educational content because a lot of people don't know what that is and they don't know how that would fit into their business. So your newsletter and my newsletter and what I've been doing there is education, right? I'm warming people up for these launches, the podcast content, the articles that I've been doing, the newsletter content. Again, if you run like evergreen funnels, your newsletter should point towards those paths naturally. You're taking them on a very specific customer journey. Same thing here. If you sell high ticket services, your newsletter should create a conversation with them and give them very clear steps on what they need to do next. Especially for the high ticket services, having that back and forth conversation after you send out a newsletter email, or if you're sending out like an automated sequence, getting them to reply back to you and having that conversation is another example. Would be if you run a membership, your newsletter should reinforce the value of staying. I do this all the time. So in my memberships that I'm sending out, I tell people what's coming up. I give them a heads up into the next couple of months. So reinforce the value of staying. And when that alignment exists, these inbox changes that we are going to see with AI aren't really going to affect us, because these filters and these engagement metrics, measurements that we have put in place, it is going to reward us. Now, most of you out there, you're not going to need to rebuild everything. Just take a step back and reevaluate where you are. And I have created a tool for you. This is a free tool. It's called the AI Inbox Readiness GPT. So it's not a copywriting tool. It doesn't rewrite your emails. It doesn't generate subject lines. It only walks you through 9 short questions, one at a time, and it helps you see what mode your newsletter is operating in right now. And it will give you a simple 14-day plan based on your results. It'll let you know, okay, here are some things that you might want to tighten up, because the goal here isn't to chase AI trends. We are not here to do that, but it is to make sure that your email system actually supports your business in a very deliberate way. So if email is part of how you move people through your customer journey, then it deserves your attention. And if you want to run your newsletter through that lens, I'm going to link the AI Inbox Readiness GPT in the show notes. It will just take you a few minutes, answer the questions honestly, and see what comes up. And then you can decide what you want to adjust there. All right. I hope you enjoyed this episode today. I'll see you in the next one, and bye for now. Thanks for listening all the way to the end. I hope you enjoyed this episode today. If you love the show, I'd appreciate a review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast platform. Have a great rest of your day, and bye for now.